Baker Mayfield. He reminds me of a shorter version of Brett Favre. He can throw it. He's very confident. He's not afraid whatsoever.
Another guy that isn't getting nearly as much attention as I believe he should be is Florida International receiver T.Y. Hilton. 6 returns over his career, combining kick and punt returns for touchdowns.
He has the mindset, and he has the intelligence, and he understands the offense to a T. Kirk's our quarterback. We could have done a deal right then and got it for long term and been a slam dunk.
Sam is a good football player. The problem is he's not a great football player, and we're bringing so much attention to a guy that, frankly, is a day 3 prospect.
And now, the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, featuring 2-time NFL General Manager Scot McCloughan and NFLDraftScout.com Senior Analyst Rob Rang.
Hi, and welcome to the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, starring 2-time NFL General Manager Scot McCloughan and myself, Rob Rang, Senior Analyst for NFLDraftScout.com. Scott, we have a lot of college football to talk about tonight with a look back on Rivalry Week and a look ahead to Championship Week, but I want to start in the NFL with the talented but troubled linebacker Reuben Foster, who was released by the San Francisco 49ers and then picked up on waivers by the Washington Redskins today. And Scott, I'm just going to have you kind of go back in time a little bit. Can you remember just what you were thinking about Reuben Foster as a prospect when he left Alabama just a couple of years ago and obviously wound up being a first-round pick of those 49ers?
As a player, really, really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Legit first-round pick. There's been so many red flags from the standpoint of what happened at the Combine.
Yep.
Where they sent him home. You know, he had a positive test. Diluted test, but they consider that a positive test.
Yeah.
And then what's gone on off the field since he's been with the 49ers is not a good sign at all. But from a pure talent standpoint, the guy's legit. The guy is a really good football player. But as you're well aware, there's more things that play into an NFL football player than just talent.
Yeah.
You know, on the field, off the field, relationships in the building, and all that stuff plays into it. You know, and I have not been in that building with him, so I don't know how that went. But I know what he's going through right now is not good. You don't touch a woman.
Yeah.
You don't do it. You don't do it. It's, you know, I learned early in my scouting career that if a guy does that kind of stuff, that's not who you want. It's not who you want. You know, but the talent's incredible. I mean, the guy's a legit starter, could be a Pro Bowler, could do all that.
Yeah.
But the other stuff plays into it big time.
No, and I appreciate you mentioning that. I mean, that's to kind of go back. I mean, what's been reported is that Reuben Foster was accused of a domestic violence crime, and the 49ers released him on Sunday. He went through the waiver process, and it sounds like there were multiple teams who applied for him. He was awarded to the Washington Redskins. And, you know, if he's able to, remain on the field for the Redskins, obviously the NFL could potentially step in and potentially there'd be some suspensions here. Who knows what's going to happen in that regard. But at the same time, I remember a Washington Redskins team as being a very talented team, but still a team that over the last couple of years has struggled with tackling, at the linebacker and in defensive back level, at least in my opinion. And I look at this as a good fit from a football standpoint for the Washington Redskins. I think this is a team, obviously, that's still very much competing for the NFC East divisional title. And so it's an interesting fit from a football standpoint about Reuben Foster with the Redskins. So can you kind of talk about that? Obviously, this is a team, the Redskins, that you're very familiar with, Scott, former general manager there. Just what do you think about Reuben Foster in terms of football? How does he fit in with the Redskins? And do you think this is a move that can help them be successful in the win and loss column moving forward?
From a talent standpoint, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of red flags.
Yep.
A lot of red flags. He's going to be suspended. You know, from my standpoint of being a general manager and seeing stuff like this happen, especially when it's twice with domestic violence and once with drugs and the combine stuff, they're going to suspend him. I'd be surprised if he has a chance to play this year. I'd be very surprised. But, again, from a talent standpoint, heck yeah. I mean, the guy's a baller. The guy, plays a position that's hard to play.
Yep.
And the guy made a lot of plays. There's a reason why he went through his combine situation and was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Because the guy's got talent. There's no doubt about it. But you got to deal with all the other stuff, And one or two mistakes, okay, I understand. You get popped for marijuana, you get popped for a DUI or whatever.
Yeah.
But when it's repetitive and repetitive and repetitive, keep going and going and going, that's when you get nervous. That's when you really get nervous.
No, exactly. And that's why I was, kind of frankly disappointed that to see an NFL team give him another opportunity at this point. I thought that it would be justified to see Reuben Foster go through waivers and not get picked up and kind of have to prove himself a little bit off the field before a team would jump back into the mix. But, at the same time, as you said, Scott, he's a baller. I mean, that's the thing I keep kind of coming back to. I'll leave the the legal stuff and the thinking about off the field to other podcasters out there. But I just Reuben Foster as a player. I mean, there's only been a handful of true inside linebackers over the last decade or so that I've given a first round grade to. And he's definitely one of them. And I say inside linebacker because, I think we see so many of these edge rushers now that have kind of made that outside linebacker role such a different, versatile role. But a true off the ball linebacker, with his, he locates the football quickly and he has such incredible speed, such incredible hitting, colliding power. I'm here. I got Bobby Wagner in the backyard, and for my money, he's about as good as it gets. All the respect to Luke Kuechly in Carolina has been another spectacular player. But watch Patrick Willis over here in San Francisco for all those years, as well as Takeo Spikes. I mean, all of them. I mean, it's that brand of a player, an all-pro caliber player, and we talked about it so much already on this show. About if you have those type of players, especially in their first year, first contract, you'd like to be able to build around those players. And so it's too bad for the 49ers to have to get rid of a player that good. It's too bad, obviously, for Reuben Foster, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen moving forward with Foster in Washington.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's got 3 years left on his rookie deal, with 2 years with the option, but you dig your own grave, plain and simple. San Fran reached out and took him in the first round for a reason.
Yep.
Okay? And they're showing respect for him as a football player. And then to turn around and this happens, and I'm with you. Legal stuff, I don't know. I mean, I read what I read, I hear what I hear, but for it happening twice, as a domestic, the league is not into that at all. The organizations aren't into it at all. You cannot be arrested for doing that stuff. And he's been arrested twice. Now, again, I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not in there. I'm not in the building. I don't know what his story is, but it's not good. I mean, when it's all said and done, be a good player. There's no doubt about it. But be a good person, too. And something, he's on the road. He's in Tampa.
Yeah.
First of all, what's she doing there?
Yeah.
You got a game the next day. That's a very important game for them.
Yep.
And then get arrested. Hey, I don't understand it. That's not good common sense. I mean, you're on a road. You're on a business trip. You're going to go work. You're going to do your job. And to see this, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know legal stuff. Maybe it's completely false. It could be. I don't know. But still, his name keeps coming up. His name keeps coming up, and that's not a good sign.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not a good sign. And I thought that it was interesting. I kind of mentioned how I thought it was a little disappointed, in the other 31 teams out there, that there were some bids put on his services. I thought it was interesting how quickly the 49ers did react. Now, they have given him opportunities, and you're right, Scott. I mean, they gave him a lot of respect by drafting him where they did and by giving him the opportunities that they have. To me, it's tip of the cap, because as someone who believes in people getting second chances, especially with young people who maybe make some mistakes, especially young people who are so far from where they were raised, the way that he was, I at the same time, he has made several mistakes here. And so one of the things that was interesting is, and this is a report by the Sports Exchange Company. I should mention that I work for the Sports Exchange, but a Sports Exchange report that the 49ers released him at 3:50 a.m. Sunday morning. Obviously, if you were making that kind of that's Eastern time, but if you're making that type of decision at that early hour, then this was clearly that the line had been crossed in the 49ers' mind as an organization, and they made that decision. It didn't seem like there had to be a lot of other people who need to be, have that conversation. A line was crossed and Reuben Foster was released. And so to me, that's a testament to the 49ers as an organization saying, these are our rules and you cross them and you're gone. And I think that is something that can be acknowledged throughout what is otherwise a very ugly situation.
No doubt about it. You lay out a plan if a guy's had some red flags in the past. And for them to do it at that time means they've had enough. Yeah. They're done. I'd be the same way as a general manager. Well, when you keep having the red flags, and first, I don't want to get involved in why is she there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you lay the law down, and you got to prove to the other players that that's who you are and what you are as an organization.
Yep, exactly. And that's one of the things, without getting into names or anything, is, with your experience, Scott, whether it be a general manager or in all the different roles that you've played, have you had situations like this where you literally had to almost write into their contract, kind of the behavior type of stipulations, and this is what's going to happen if this, do you have to get that specific with some of these, I don't want to say knuckleheads, but some of these players who have made some mistakes?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You got to protect yourself as an organization because it's about 53. It's not about one.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, too, that if you bring somebody in and they won't adjust to what your vision, your organization is, then it becomes an issue. Because it's not just he got released, he got, waived, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But he affects the team in a negative manner. And that's the last thing you want. You got 52 other guys busting their tail, trying to do the right things, trying to be the right guy. And then all of a sudden you got one of your better players you took in the first round.
Yeah.
That you have to release. And I mean, that's a huge shot because you want him to be with you for 10 years. You want him to have a second contract and all that. And what he did, apparently, like I said, I'm not a legal guy, but is wrong. It affects the organization in a bad manner. It affects the team in a bad manner. And it's so hard to win week in and week out. And, they're playing with backup quarterbacks now, in San Fran. And it's so hard. And you want your best players on the field. And he would not live up to what he was supposed to be as a person.
Exactly. And one of the interesting things that you said there too, Scott, that kind of got me thinking is some of the other young, kind of impressionable players that was on that San Francisco 49ers defense, especially, and the whole team. And obviously when you have your quarterback Garoppolo getting hurt early on, and he's been kind of out of sight, out of mind, it seems like, unfortunately, for the 49ers. But I think of like the Solomon Thomases, the DeForest Buckners,